Let me make this very, 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 very clear. I'm no saint, I'm no God, I'm no omnipotent being, I'm no omnipresent being, I'm no God, I'm no Shiva, I'm no Vishnu, I'm no Sora, I'm no sanctuary of all that is good and the holy justice of the high order. I am not any of those things. I am a simple man, and I look every man out there, every woman out there, every human being out there, every soul out there is going to make their fair share of mistakes. They're going to mess up. They're going to drop the ball, and all we want to do when that happens is pick up the ball, move forward on to progression, just accept our blows, take our lumps, make our apologies, make it known that we're sorry, and just keep moving on. I get it. I understand everybody out there deserves their fair shake over the horizon. Everyone deserves to be able to make their opinions heard, make their voices heard, and should be allowed to have everything and the exact same opportunities afforded to them as everyone else on the planet, and I am there with you. However, there is a point where I feel as though I need to cut someone off. Now, look, I don't know this man Dollars to Donuts Review Tech USA in terms of a human being. We don't Skype, we don't talk, we don't tweet back and forth, we don't go on YouTube, we don't share private messages on any social networking site. We don't have each other on Facebook, MySpace, whatever social media you want to talk about. We ain't associating ourselves with each other. But the reason why I do feel as though I need to bring this up because a few of my friends, a few of my constituents, my contemporaries, my subscribers, people who I associate myself with, have decided to say that Review Tech USA is a guy that they want at the forefront of Gamergate. More Gamergaters need to be more like Review Tech USA, and they like the fact that Review Tech USA is an advocate for ethics and journalism. However, my problem with this is the simple fact that if there's anything that is an ethical dispute, I want this man to stay far, 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 far away from that ethical issue, from anything that is an ethical standpoint in any way, shape, or form or facet. The reason why I say this is because over his tenure on YouTube, he has consistently dropped the ball in ethical formats over and over and over and over again. Now, you may be wondering, what am I saying? Those are bold claims. Do I have anything to back this up? And yes, I do. We'll be getting to that point in a second. Now, that aside, I would like to say, Review Tech USA, look, I understand when people play with your money and people play with your financial well-being, it is worth getting mad about. So let's start off with your first statements. Now, you made a video where you said Loot Crate loves censorship because you got your sponsorship axed off, cut, decapitated, amputated, and you were cut off and let go from Loot Crate's sponsorship team due to the simple fact that Loot Crate got a lot of emails saying that your feminazi video was somehow offensive, and it probably wasn't. I haven't seen the video, but it's the feminazi video, and I don't really think that you could have said anything that was really inflammatory because you used the title feminazi. I mean, let's just be honest. I'm pretty sure you were talking about the same status quo things that many others have talked about, and since people decided to get mad and pissy, they got you kicked off. Yeah, that does suck. That is a little bit annoying. That's fine, that's dandy, it happens, it sucks. You even go as far to say as Loot Crate's fine people, however you say Loot Crate loves censorship. Now look, I don't care who you are, but you can't play that game. That is not a game that you are allowed to play. There is no way, shape, or form that you are allowed to sit here and tell me that Loot Crate loves censorship, but at the beginning of the video, because you said it's not a hate video, that I'm supposed to just say, Loot Crate's a great establishment, even though you just, no, you don't get to play that card. You can't say Loot Crate loves censorship. Now, you can sit there as a fan of Review Tech USA and agree with him and say that. However, this happens during the same timeline as another incident. If you don't believe me, let's hear it, guys.
Second.
Now, with that said, that means that the Big Cheese incident in question only happened a few days or within the same time span as this current one of his sponsorship being let go. Here's the big problem. Here's the kicker. For those of you who don't know, Review Tech USA sponsored someone named Big Cheese or Big Cheese Gaming, however you want to call him. Big Cheese Gaming saw that Review Tech USA wanted a laptop, and this is not the first time Review Tech USA was going to take something from his fans, and Review Tech USA decides, you know what, fine. I'll take the laptop, we'll throw in a few monetary dollars in here for exchange, and bada boom, bada bing, we have a sponsorship deal. The original deal lasted for 6 months of sponsorship, whether it be in video format and a video description. Now look, if I'm going to give you anything or paying for anything, now this is more on Big Cheese's end. I don't understand why you didn't really work something out on paper. However, the problem is many of these advertisements or plugs were going to be in the video description, which most people, the average viewer, aren't going to read. And with that said, yeah, that's where a lot of those advertisements and plugs went, and that's what happened. Big Cheese sent him a semi-functioning laptop, which had to be sent back and then sent back with repairs. But hey, look, he got his laptop. The original deal went out. As you could tell, the original deal was rather shaky from the get-go. The problem is with the second deal, because Review Tech USA said that he was really not really feeling making a second deal, but he decided to make one because he wanted another laptop, and Big Cheese just so happened to have one laying around. Now, he gets the laptop, and then, halfway through it, he's like, this laptop's not really running up to snuff with my qualifications of up to snuff, and I know that the last one really didn't work that well, but I'm still going to trust you on this one, even though you had no reason to do so, and, that's fine. I get it. Someone's messing you around and you feel someone's messing you over, that's cool and dandy. But then you go off and you pull this. You sit here and you say that, you know what, it happens, man. I'm just going to stop sponsoring you. It's whatever. Even though you had a deal and an obligation and, you didn't do it day one. You waited a bit. You let it marinate. You let it settle. And then you decide to say, I'm just going to stop it. It's whatever. I'm just going to renege on the deal even though I kind of was okay with it. Then I wasn't. I wasn't going to wait till the end. I'm just going to cut it off right here. That's fine. That's dandy. Okay, look, that's what you want to do. Not really the best ethical standpoint to have. Not an ethical stance at all. But, if that's how you really feel you want to do business, hey. But then during your video, you had the nerve and the gall to say the following statement. This is what happens. It's business. People get cut all the time. That's what happened with my sponsorships. When I get sponsored, it's like just because someone was shitty to you does not give you permission to be shitty to everyone else. Just because someone did something to lowball you does not mean you now have permission to lowball everyone else. Now, look. You can say I'm comparing the two situations as apples to oranges and that they're different in some way, shape, or form or format. But in the video where he responds to Big Cheese about the sponsorship being terminated, he basically says that all the other terminations were valid and that anytime I complained about my past terminations of sponsorships from other people, I've been in the wrong apparently. And I told you that these videos happen just about simultaneously. It's amazing how this works, right? It's amazing how the flip-flopping and the shenanigans have already begun during the tenure of these videos. And, this happened back last year. So, some people are going to say, well, it's last year. Maybe he's grown up a bit. Maybe he's changed. Well, maybe you're right. Maybe you are right. But the problem is, this isn't the first incident that he had. No. No. This isn't the first incident that he's had. Because remember a long time ago, over one of his he was around 15, 20, 30,000 subscribers, something around that figure. He made a Kickstarter where he wanted a video camera. That's it. He just wanted a video camera. That's all he wanted, a video camera. $500, donate, blah, 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 etc., etc. Now, look, I'm all for, donating to people who desperately need money, but you had about 15 to 20,000 subscribers at that time. And, let's just say even if you had 8,000 subscribers, look, you are making more YouTube money even with 5,000 subscribers than most of the people who are ever going to make a YouTube account for any way, shape, or form, reason, facet, ideal, goal in mind are ever going to see. You are making more as pennies, dollars, nickels, and dimes than most people are ever going to see from a YouTube check. You know this, I know this, there's no disputing this because you had 6,000 subscribers, and let's be honest, the vast majority of the people on YouTube, regardless of the quality of their content, ain't making it to 1,000 subscribers, especially over, a short tenure here on YouTube. Now, that being said, you wanted a $500 camera, you decided to have people donate to you, and, that's fine and dandy. But in the Big Cheese video, you said, what do I look like, a charity? I don't know, basically you were putting down the fact of being a charity worker, even though you've had people be a charity to you not once, but twice. But that's none of my business, apparently. So with that said, you want to talk about, putting this money towards a camera, and, that's fine and dandy. But you obviously didn't need that money, so that's a little gray area, a little bit of suspect and the ethical violations there. But you mean to sit here and tell me that you were going to use this camera to spruce up your videos, make things look nicer, make things look dope, make things look cool, have that visual interaction face-to-face with the viewer, and, all that type of good stuff. When's the last time you've seen this man consistently use a camera? Don't worry, I'm going to wait. Because last I checked, it's always some game that's just randomly popular at the time, or just a regular generic video game, a shooter, whatever, and an article completely unrelated to the video game on the screen, even if it is about a video game. Like, the article could be about Madden, yet Call of Duty will be what was on the screen, or something to that effect, where the video game footage is really secondary and is obviously done pre-commentary, so basically the commentary is posted. It's just a visual to just sit up there on your screen, which is fine. But that's not what a video camera would be for. That doesn't spruce anything up. That doesn't add anything. It's not even being utilized in any way, shape, or form. Now, there was a rumor out there where, hey, look, guys, I sold the camera. There's also another rumor that he decided to donate that money to charity. There's also another rumor where he made out another video in which he had another video camera filming himself talking about the camera that he got from his fans. Now, look, let's just say all of those are not true. But you know what all of those storylines have? And the current storyline that is actually the truth, let's just say, there's no way to prove it, and, you just got the camera. You know what all those storylines have in common? The fact that you never used the damn camera to do what you said you were going to do. That is what all those threads have in common. Now, this was about, a year and a half, 2 years ago now, and you're still making these mistakes all the way up to 5 months later, and you want to talk about ethical standpoints? Nah, man. Nah. If you want to be a part of Gamergate, that's fine. If you want to be an advocate for Gamergate, that's fine. But for those of you who are saying that, this is the guy that you guys want the champion, and you guys want this guy to be at the forefront, you guys want this guy to be, you want more people in Gamergate to be like this guy, I have to say, nah, man. Not at all. Not at all. Because from an ethical standpoint, dirt. No. Just no. Like, you couldn't even do business with this man with a straight face. Especially when you see how much of a shitheel he can act like during those Big Cheese videos. Let's just be honest. He says he wants to be professional. He says he's, he wants ethics in journalism. But when it comes to being an ethical human being over his tenure on YouTube, the man gets a D- if I had to pass him. I want to give him an F, but there's just so much worse out there that, let's just be honest, he's not the worst in the world from an ethical standpoint. Now, look. I understand that a lot of people have asked for money in the past. I understand that people are still asking for money, and people hide behind the excuse that is a glorified tip jar. That brings me to my next two people, but I'm going to start off with Mundane Matt. Now look, Mundane Matt and I have exchanged Skype messages back and forth. We've talked to each other on occasion. We've had a debate in the past, and although it wasn't really a debate, it was more or less a discussion, and it was a misunderstanding. He said he wasn't going to deal with YouTube drama anymore. We see how that panned out now, haven't we? Now, with that said, Mundane Matt, as far as I know, cool dude. But, this brings me to this ethical problem that I've always had when it came down to Gamergate, that some people are going to find a way to capitalize off of it more than actually help the movement itself. Now, look, talking about the movement, great. Talking about some of the dumb things people have said, great. But that's what everyone on Twitter does. Everyone is contributing the same type of thing, whether it be through tweets, video format, etc., so on and so forth. However, I knew that Gamergate, being about ethics and journalism, does not like it when people game the system just because the fact that they know they can game a system. Which brings me to the gray area known as Patreon. Now look, I'm not hating on Patreon. I don't think Patreon is garbage. I don't think Patreon is a shithole, but I'm just telling you right now without a shadow of a doubt that Patreon is not meant for 90% of the shit that pops up on here. And the reason why I say that is because Patreon normally is to help someone create more, is allowing someone to go that extra mile with their career, allowing someone to, build their stuff off the ground or build their brand or allow them to expand because you're willing to buy in. That's basically what a patron is supposed to do. However, let's be honest, Mundane Matt. All the videos that you're making now would still be videos that you would be making regardless if you had a Patreon or not. And the only reason why this Patreon exists is because you know that there would be people who would donate. You're just spreading your wings because you know that they could be spread. I know what some of you are going to think. You're just saying that because you know no one would donate to your Patreon. Anyone who knows anything about my YouTube channel, what I've said, and what I've shown on stream, don't even bother responding to that response. I know someone's gonna say it because they're not gonna get this far in the video. Just let it slide. Just let it go. Just let it coast. Just let it coast. Let it marinate. Now, with that said, he's getting $85 a month, and that's cool and all. But let's be honest. $85 a month. 10 months in, let's just say that's $850 without any sort of increasing rate. Now, what is it that you do? You just take a static image and you talk over it. $85 a month, people. $85 a month. I guess we should clap that up. Now, as you can see, this brings me to the next Patreon. We're not going to get there just yet, because I have a bone to pick with this one specifically. Now, that all being said, Mundane Matt, you even admitted to me that you use Patreon as a glorified tip jar. A tip jar. Really? A tip jar. A tip jar. Okay. I'm just saying. You can say it's a tip jar all you like. But we all know that it's only there because you know that you can get away with it due to the fact that you have subscribers. That's it. You're gaming the system. And you can hide behind the fact, well, I don't specifically ask for it, but you know that you'd get it, and that's why you made it. Gaming the system. Now, you can sit there and say that's more than enough shield-like behavior for the day, and that's fine and dandy, because in ethics and journalism, you know, everybody else is in each other's back pockets, backing each other's Kickstarters, Patreons, ideas, funding in some way, shape, or form or another, being everybody's butt buddy on Twitter and things of that nature. You know, that happens. I get it. But the fact that, you know, before Gamergate, you didn't have a Patreon, and now all of a sudden you want to make one, and, you know, you want to capitalize on the fact that you're building your brand around being about ethics and journalism, and you want people to put money in your pocket, you know, I mean, I just don't see how those lines don't run into each other at some point, but apparently they run parallel, and they're allowed to run seamlessly straight side by side. Now, you can say maybe I have some warped perception of what people and their goals are, but let's just be honest here. I'm not expecting anyone to bend and cater to my whim. I know that's not what's going to happen. I'm just speaking my mind right now. So let's go to the next jump. There's a man named Homer Ruglia Bjolf, a.k.a. Homer. So, you know, we call him Homer. He's been on my stream a few times. We've talked. He's a cool dude. We've played games together. Look, I have nothing to pick against you specifically as a human being. However, I remember when you were on my stream and you went off on this tangent argument about how people should be allowed to hire people just off personal preference. Like, oh, I like black people, I'm going to hire more blacks. Or I like white people, I'm going to hire more whites. And it doesn't matter what your qualifications are or if you're more qualified. If you don't remember, there was a debate between him and Morg on my stream. And Morg Zombie brought up the point, so what if there was a woman who was more qualified than a man? His response, well, if I like the man more, I'm more comfortable around men, or I feel as though men, work harder, even if the woman is more qualified, I would still hire the man. Remember all this was said. Because this man's got a Patreon too. For his vlogs and Let's Play. That's right, playing video games and making vlogs. Now look, you want to donate to his Patreon? I'm not going to stop you. That's not what this is about. But the fact that someone could say that and they want to be a big advocate of Gamergate, and before Gamergate didn't have a Patreon, but now that they've got their subscriber count, out of the 50s, I think they had 79 subscribers when we first used to talk. Now, once he's been talking about Gamergate and getting tweets from Mercedes and, some Mrs. Summers, and now he's got his way up to 344, all of a sudden, give love to my Patreon. So, now he's got one, because everybody wants a part of this cash cow, apparently. Because everyone feels as though there's a slice of the pie out there with their name on it, and they want to get on it. And it's like, I don't understand how people are trying to capitalize off this Gamergate thing. I just don't understand why that is a thing. I don't understand why as though people feel as though, oh man, Gamergate? Oh man, I could attach my name to it, put my hand out there. Because as we've seen, there's been certain people who weren't here when Gamergate was rough, when it was tough. There was actually a lot of stuff going on. It required research to actually understand what was going on. And now they're coming out the woodwork saying, oh, I was down with you guys all the time. I just thought it was a shitfest at first, but now I'm here with you. Here to stand with you. And then after saying that, they've yet to make a single goddamn video that requires any sort of thought process that isn't just being an echo chamber for Gamergate. But apparently that, in and of itself, is also none of my business. Now, I know some of you guys are going to sit here and say that, I'm wrong and I'm misguided, and you're going to try and talk me down off the ledge and saying that these guys are justified in doing whatever it is that they are doing. Hey, look. By all means, please, I beg you, educate me. Go right ahead. You got it. The floor is yours. The floor is yours.